Ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome back to Boz Comics. I hope you like the new format. It's still a work in progress. Eventually, there's going to be some sort of background behind me, possibly a green screen. For now, I have the lights all, carefully arranged, so you can't quite make out what a disaster my house is behind me, as we're still in the process of moving everything, unpacking everything months later. I don't know. Actually, any of you that have done any significant amount of moving before probably know how it is. We're still in the process of moving into this old house, getting everything fixed up and ready at the same time. So it's a process, and everything behind me looks like trash. So to compensate, you get this pretentious, brooding in the dark aesthetic going on, although I suppose it's somewhat apropos with Halloween right around the corner. But I'm doing the best I can. The channel's been growing and growing consistently lately, and I'm so happy. I can't believe this many people, nearly 50 people at this point, want to hear me talk about comic books. That is awesome. That is awesome. You know, I try to keep these things in perspective because I was thinking, if you went back and told me even 10 years ago that one day almost 50 people, most of them strangers, would want to hear me go on the internet and talk about comic books, I would have asked them, whatever they were. I want to know what they're smoking because holy shit, it sounds awesome. But I'm really happy you're here. I'm happy to be here. And so today we're going to talk about Amazing Spider-Man number 50.LR, because Marvel many moons ago started this weird tradition where when they are trying to push an especially large event, it's not enough to just do random tie-in books. They also have to do extra issues of the main book. They like to throw in these, what are those called? Suffixes. Those little suffixes, those little numerical designations. Just so you know, okay, LR, last rites. It's part of the main arc going on right now. It's extra content. And it was really funny. They said in the back matter of number 50, they were like, you don't have to read these extra titles. If you read the issues, just the main titles, if you read just Amazing Spider-Man, you will be fine. You will understand everything that's going on. You won't miss anything important. But they're like, this will provide further context. This issue, to me, felt like it was very necessary. Unless they're talking about when they say, oh, if you just follow the main title. I guess they're including the extra LR issues when they say you have to follow the main title. But maybe stuff like the inevitable Silk tie-in or whatever that nobody's going to read except for me, because people seem to like when I talk about these books. Maybe they mean that you can leave those out, but you have to keep reading ASM. Who knows? Who knows? I don't even understand anymore. To me, it all just looks like a cash grab. But at least the stories are well written. At least if this issue is any indication to go by. So, in broad strokes, number 50 is that fight that was glossed over in the beginning of ASM number 50. In ASM number 50, Spider-Man gives that cathartic yeet to Norman Osborn, chucks him out of the watercraft. And he and the rest of the Order of the Web, they're then accosted by what we know to be the collected sins from the Sim Eater, chowing down on Sim cards. The collected sins from the Sin Eater after Kindred killed him. In the most predictable double cross of all time. Jesus Christ, Stanley, did you never read a comic book in your life? Anyway, so we know that Spider-Man's friends have been possessed by these manifestations brought about by the Sin Eater's work and then subsequent death. And we saw kind of perhaps the beginnings of the fight, I think, but we didn't see the totality of it. We didn't see how Spider-Man truly got so fucked up on his way to Doctor Strange at the end of number 50. Well, now we go back in time for some reason, and we see that fight, and that fight, is interspersed with segments from Norman Osborn coming down from the attack he suffered at the hands of the Sin Eater. Sin Eater, before he was inevitably killed by Kindred, he shoots Osborn with his magic shotgun, cleanses Osborn of his sins, supposedly, whatever that ultimately means, and then fucks off to go die because the plot demands it. Well, Osborn is now, it seems, like truly repentant, like truly a changed man. God knows what the full effects will turn out to be, but it seems that Osborn truly has turned over a new leaf, which, by the way, is, I think, really interesting. It's probably one of the only interesting things you could still do with Osborn at this point. So kudos to Spencer and whoever else signed off on that idea, because I think it's working. I'd like to see where this goes. I'm not saying I want Norman Osborn to be a hero. I don't want Green Goblin Norman Osborn to have his own solo book. Fuck, they're gonna do it, aren't they? Anyway, I don't want to see that happen, but I'm sure it will at this point. But it's an interesting thing to explore here in the main title. So Norman is seemingly really repentant, and he is unburdening his soul to Dr. Kafka, and Kafka says the only reason she hasn't turned Osborn into the cops is because he seems to know more about what Kindred's on about, what he's planning. She talks to him about the fact that Kindred, according to him, is his son Harry. And we talked a lot about that on this channel. Still not really sold or happy about it. We'll see where it goes. But, while Spider-Man is fighting for his life, and I will say it's a pretty fucking creepy, crazy fight going on with Spider-Man. Go read it for yourself. This is not Comic Storian. I really don't like Comic Storian. While that fight is going on, Norman is unburdening himself, and he's talking about how, Kindred is Harry, and so he really wants to help him. He wants to make things right, but he has no idea how he could possibly make things right. And Kafka says, hey, when I've tried to help people reconcile with others in the past, it's often useful, helpful, therapeutic to bring in a sort of intermediary, a mediator, to come in and kind of help the parties communicate, right? Because it's hard when we're all caught up in our own feelings and we can't necessarily see the forest for the trees, and sometimes with our own emotions roiling in our heads, it's really hard to hear what the other party has to say. That's not actually what Kafka says. That's just I understand the theory behind what she's saying, so I'm relaying it to you. I'm therapy-splaining to you. Or I suppose psycho-splaining. Ooh, that's a nice term. Ooh. So Norman and Kafka are talking about this potential mediator. We cut to MJ. Remember her? Remember she's part of the book? Anyway, we cut to MJ coming back, getting off a plane, or at the airport rather, getting into a limo that's been sent to collect her, and the implication is that she has come back ahead of schedule, come back to New York to act as the mediator. At least that's what I think the implication is. I think that's the way the dialogue is cut. I think that's meant to be what's implied there. And I know at least somebody in my comments, I think it was Morgan Pogue again, I think seemed to imply that, that's what he thought as well. We'll see. We'll see if he's right. I don't think that's an unfair assumption. We'll see how it bears out. But things I liked about this issue, the fight was cool between Spider-Man and the possessed Lord of the Web. I think seeing Norman Osborn possibly actually attempting to get some sort of genuine redemption would be really interesting. Making it a big scam where it's not real, the Sin Eater's whole thing is actually, you're a sleeper douchebag. You thought you were cured of your evil, but you were really not. I hope that that's not where it goes, because I actually think that would make it less interesting. Because that would be the tired villain trope that everybody expects. Now it's what if the redemption or the attempt at such is real? That's interesting. I like that Kindred is now slowly putting himself out there. He speaks to Spider-Man during the fight, using the Order of the Web as his intermediaries. I think he primarily uses Julia to speak through. He uses her voice. but it's closer to Spider-Man now than just chilling in his dreams and being all creepy. So that's fascinating. That's cool. They're getting closer. This inevitable showdown is coming. It's another reason too, by the way, why I'm starting to wonder if Harry really is Kindred after all. Because, like, at this point, Spider-Man's gonna be the last one to know. That would suck. Like, are you really gonna build an entire story arc based around dramatic irony? I don't think so. There's got to be a twist coming, surely. Unless the twist is a twist upon a twist, and it's that there is no twist. Ashley Kafka's fun. I would love to see her in the books more. She never had much of a defining character back in the 90s. But it was more that, like, oh, it's cool to have a fun female character in Spider-Man's mythos who can maybe be, like, not his Commissioner Gordon, but, like, some sort of psychiatric equivalent. I think that could be interesting, right? Considering how many utterly crazy psychopathic villains Spider-Man deals with, I'd love to see that kind of relationship explored further. That's it. The fight's cool, therapy's cool, MJ's cool, like... These are good things. The plot is moving forward now. That makes me happy. I am really worried that Spencer's run now is only really going to be remembered for the terrible pacing, which, as I've said before, I really don't think was ultimately his fault. I think a lot of that comes from editorial interference, if not most of it. And maybe I'm just being naive because I like what's being done, but that's how I feel. That's my prediction. But anyway, speaking of predictions, I think that what's going to happen relatively soon is Harry and Kindred are going to meet. I think there's going to be a meeting between current continuity, post-OMD Harry. I think he's going to get pulled in for this mediation. They're going to reach out to him and be like, Kindred, we know that you're, or Kindred, Harry, we know that you're Kindred. Come to this crazy wackadoo therapy session in Ravencroft. And Harry's going to be like, what the fuck are you all talking about? And it's going to really confuse everybody and think that Norman is crazier than usual. And then an issue or two later, that's when we're going to find out that Harry is Kindred, but he's Kindred pre One More Day. And because Marvel is going to think that we, didn't see that coming a mile away. And they're going to be wrong because Marvel often completely underestimates its audience. That's what they do. I love Spider-Man. Overall, this was a good issue. I don't understand why it was taken out of sequence. I don't understand why it needed to be its own, special book. I don't know why this couldn't just be part of the regular title. Maybe because they did. Maybe there's just so much story here and they just didn't want to, make Last Right's 12 issues. They didn't want to have a Maximum Carnage. Back in the day, Maximum Carnage was 14 books long. 14 parts long back in the 90s. Holy shit. So maybe that's what they're trying to avoid. They're like, fans won't receive it the same way if we put extra issues in there and just say, make them point LR issues. I don't know. I'm not in charge of marketing over at Marvel. Maybe that's a good thing. Anyway, I think that about sums it up. Good times ahead for us, probably bad times for Spidey, but that makes for good drama, which makes for good comic books. Anyway, thank you all again for all your supports. If you enjoyed this kind of rambly review, if you'd like to see more content like this, please comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications so that we can keep goosing YouTube's algorithm and making it a happy boy that loves me very much. And I'll see you guys next time.